the time flies. Okay, nothing else heard. In that case, I think it's time that we actually get started here. Let's set this up so that I can, in actual fact, read off of the teleprompter correctly. And of course, we are going to start with greetings to one and all. And welcome to this week's net. Of course, now I'm getting some interference on 700. Those wishing to join using Zoom, you may do so. Zoom is open. If you do not have the Zoom link, please contact me on WhatsApp 082-859-2684, and I'll send you the link with the greatest of pleasure. For those of you that are aggravated with the ECRN server, Zoom will be the better option for you. You don't need to turn your radio on while you don't do it in any event. So there's no excuse for you, if you are by any chance listening, not to join us on Zoom either. Today is Sunday, 17 September 2023, and the time is 19:05. We begin the weekly net with the radio amateur check-ins on the Rudderpoort repeater, and this lasts for about 5 minutes before proceeding. The net is broadcast every Sunday evening starting at 1900 and is broadcast for the benefit of radio amateurs, disaster relief cert volunteers, and of course members of the general public. The net is therefore open to one and all other interested parties. Everyone is welcome to participate using either amateur radio or Zoom or both. Now, I'd also like to remind all the radio amateurs who have not checked in as yet that you do not need to be a member of any group or club to check in or to use the repeater or any of the amateur radio bands, despite what they might tell you. All that is required from you is that you have a valid amateur radio license issued by ICASA, which automatically grants you the right to use any of the amateur radio bands at any time. There is no need to ask for or be granted permission from anyone to use the repeaters or the amateur bands. I'd also like to encourage all the listeners and participants to share the weekly net Zoom link with everybody they know throughout South Africa. Doing so will help us grow the weekly net and will contribute to disseminating information as far and wide, especially in times of the current situation that the city of Johannesburg finds itself in, whereby crucial, critical, and even life-saving information may in actual fact be shared. And this is why, and I want to make it clear to every listener on Rudderpoort's repeater. This business of having this ECHO-Link server interfere with one of the calls and let's lose a life, and I'll lay charges against everybody. That is not a promise. That is not a threat. That's a fact. ZS6OPS returning. As it is, ECHO-Link is now just transmitting over conversations, and this is totally unacceptable. So, to the members of the West Rand Amateur Radio Club, I'm putting you on notice, officially on air, that if that ECHO-Link server is the result of losing one life, I will personally lay charges against the people involved. Please take particular note of that. And if you wish to take it up with the SAL, I will gladly engage the SAL on this matter. Right, that being said, ZS6OPS returning. It's now time to unpack the COVID-19 figures. And wow, I tell you what, even though the sites are down and the World Health Organization is distributing weekly stats, this week we had 770,563,467 cases that were reported by the World Health at 7:25 on the 13th of September. So it's almost a week ago. Our figures this week went up 126,000, whereas on the previous week we had an increase of 351,000. The global death toll now stands at 6,957,216 compared to last week's 6,956,900. Again, figures are a little bit lower this week, where we see 316 deaths as opposed to 727 in the previous week. Right, ZS6OPS returning. Mpox is now currently sitting at 90,377 cases globally as at the 10th of September 2023 in total, compared to the previous week's total of 89,752. Quite a significant climb in Mpox cases this week, 625, whereas on the previous week we only reported 156. South Africa's cases have not changed in over a year. We still stand at 5 cases and no more than that. Just having a look at some of the news broadcasts there. I think we'll cover that shortly. All right, so as at 8th September 2023, our measles figures have not changed because they haven't given us any updates in the last week, believe it or not. So I'm not going to give you the numbers, but I do know that we were last at 522 cases, being in the Limpopo at the highest, followed by the Northwest at 221, and close on the Northwest heels, Gauteng at 206. So I don't know why the NICD hasn't done any updates or reports on it this week. Yeah, there's the children coming out to play as well. They don't take this seriously, but anyway. Let's move on. General news. Yep, the death toll in Morocco earthquake rises to almost 3,000, with several thousands injured. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the official figures at the time of writing the script for tonight, as I was concentrating more on the flooding which has destroyed the entire city of Derna in Libya. By the way, I think you guys better put your recorders on, because if you'd like me to repeat my statement and my factual statement regarding the Echolink server, I'll do so with the greatest of pleasure. Right, moving on. So, looking at the Libyan flooding, wow, I tell you what, that's going to become quite a situation moving forward, purely because of the fact that at the end of the day, there's a couple of dams that have, in actual fact, burst their banks as a result of the rain. And now, of course, everybody is concerned that ultimately, at the end of the day, mismanagement and all the rest of it is now going to play a role in it. Just stand by. I need to clear something here quickly. All right, so let's move on here quickly. And what I can in actual fact say is that with regards to some of the reports issued by CBS News, the Libyan authorities have opened an investigation into the collapse of the 2 dams that in actual fact did in actual fact be the cause of the devastating flood in a coastal city. And as rescue teams searched, for the bodies on Saturday, nearly a week after the deluge killed more than 11,000 people. Okay, ZS6IPS returning. Heavy rains caused by the Mediterranean storm Daniel caused deadly flooding across eastern Libya last weekend. The floods actually overwhelmed 2 dams, sending a wall of water several meters high through the center of Derna, destroying entire neighborhoods and sweeping people out to sea. More than 10,000 people are missing, according to the Libyan Red Crescent, and 6 days on, searchers are still digging through mud and hollowed out buildings looking for bodies and possible survivors. The Red Crescent has confirmed 11,300 deaths so far, and Claire, who heads the emergencies department of the Doctors Without Borders aid group, said that rescuers found a lot of bodies on Friday and were still searching. It was a big number. The sea is still ejecting lots of dead bodies, unfortunately, she told the Associated Press. The World Health Organization, just as a matter of interest, has actually called upon the Libyan authorities to not bury their bodies close to water sources, purely because of the fact that this, in all honesty, is going to cause waterborne diseases within the burial sites, and that, of course, is going to contaminate the water sources, and then it's going to become a totally different scenario altogether as well. So that being said, I don't think there's anything else that I need to do at this stage with regards to report backs, except to say that let's see if there are any other late check-ins as ZS6 OPS is standing by. Okay, nothing else heard on that aspect. The one thing I do want to cover is City Power and, Rand Water and City of City, let me get this right. Rand Water and Joburg Water have issued a joint statement calling on all residents to reduce water consumption. Rand Water has already issued a notification that there is a potential risk, an extremely high risk, that they will not be able to pump water moving forward. And therefore, this city is on the brink of a water disaster, whichever way you look at it. City Power has also issued a warning that the infrastructure is under severe strain and therefore could also collapse. As a result of that, I think each and every single resident throughout the city of Joburg in particular needs to take this very seriously, start planning, start working towards having capabilities of fresh water supply, especially potable water. And it is on this basis that I give the warning to the West Rand Club that if that Echolink server has to, during any communication where people are in need of water, especially elderly, we have got radio amateurs out there who are not club members. And as a result of it, show some respect to the other radio amateurs. We could end up with situations where people are in need of assistance and they cannot do it because people are not listening to the repeater, because it's an irritant. That's all it is. There is no need to have notifications on Echolink under any circumstances whatsoever. And that is why I put a call out for the West Rand Amateur Radio Club to turn off those notifications. And I promise that if there is any interference on any emergency call, on this repeater, on this band, as a result of Echolink, I will personally lay charges of culpable homicide against every person involved. That is not a threat. That is not a promise. That is a simple fact. I don't need to ask permission for it to be switched off. I don't need to be nice. If people cannot think for themselves, then they shouldn't be in a position of authority. And they most definitely should not be in a position where they can actually dictate what other radio amateurs have to put up with and tolerate. Those days are over. On that note, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who has listened. And please join the emergency WhatsApp groups that have been put together citywide specifically to deal with the water crisis. ZS6 OPS returning specifically to deal with the water crisis that is looming. It is on our doorstep. We've had 2 warnings in 48 hours. So we really need to start gearing up for potential problems moving forward. I'd also like to point out that in the event that there is no water, those people with boreholes, please, whatever you do, do not make your borehole location publicly available. You will become a target for criminals and criminality, whereby they will want to take over control of those boreholes. So to the radio amateurs out there, guys, seriously, if you've got boreholes, please do not make that information available. Rather, register with Disaster Relief Cert and notify us that you do have a borehole, so that that information is brought under proper, secured control in terms of the promotion, in terms of the protection of personal information, and therefore is not made available. Through our structures, we will have a look to see if we can arrange for security provisions to be made in order for us to, in actual fact, distribute water or get water extracted out of your boreholes. This is all part of the planning, especially around the western side of Johannesburg. This is not the West Rand. The West Rand is on the other side of Krugersdorp. But on the western side of Johannesburg and parts of Krugersdorp, this is part of the planning that has been undertaken in preparedness for this situation. So on that note, I'm going to bid everybody farewell. COVID is not over. Please remember to wash your hands on a regular basis, wear a mask to protect the elderly, and still distance yourself. The numbers are high. The new strain variant is definitely doing the rounds and all the other good stuff. And on that note, I'd like to say to you, be safe, be prepared, and of course, be happy. This is ZS6OPS, now releasing the Roodepoort repeater for general use. Cheers all.